Welcome to New England Soccer Journal's The Goal Podcast, the podcast for serious soccer players and their supporters to help further their development and navigate their way throughout their soccer careers.
Hello and welcome into another episode of New England Soccer Journal's The Goal Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Langone, joined in studio as usual by our own Matt Doherty. Matt, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good to see you. And we also have another special guest today from Parts Unknown, a term I steal from our producer, David Yaz, NESJ high school soccer writer, Pat Donnelly, joining the pod as well. Pat, how you doing?
Good. We're finally getting some fall weather. It's awesome.
I'm sick of that 85 degrees.
It is awesome. You guys like?
I mean, it's been perfect for like a month, and now it's like even more perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
you got the flannel on. You know the season.
I know you're looking really fall.
You get the pants on at the golf course, like just.
By the way, Pat, Chris Kane, you know the Milton Academy coach. Did you meet him and talk golf with him?
So I did the only time I've ever talked to Chris was when I did the prospect watch for, I believe it was Alfred Deba.
Yeah.
But I know his dad John very well
okay.
from the golf course I worked at in high school.
Gotcha.
So his dad John is one of the best guys around.
That's awesome. Yeah, he mentioned you to me, that he's actually been saying he wants to get up and play 9. I'm nervous because my 9 could be anywhere from 43 to 58. I mean, I don't know what the hell. You never know what the hell I'm going to shoot on any day. But
yeah, his dad has been saying we got to play, so maybe we'll make that happen.
Yeah, I'm with you on the weather though. I'm like putting the AC on overnight and like.
I know.
I don't want to do it anymore. I just want the windows open. I want that fall air coming in. I want to start wearing some sweatpants around. I'm nothing better than sweatpants.
I think the September weather is perfect. That's the best weather of the year in New England.
Yep.
But like now it's going to start. I don't like cold. So like I feel like by the end of this month, it's going to be sweatshirts and sweatpants and pants and maybe a jacket.
Hoodies. I love it.
Ski season's around the corner. Hockey season's around the corner. It's so great.
That's ready to go. But what the people really want to hear today is some high school soccer talk. So that's why we're here. That's enough weather talk for everyone. But we want to do kind of an MIAA Massachusetts high school midseason check-in here with the boys. Matt Doherty covers the boys side of things. Pat covers the girls side of things. The coverage has been great on soccerjournal.com. I encourage everyone to check out what they've been doing. But it's been a busy season. Let's just get some early impressions from both of you guys, starting with you, Matt, about where things are in the MIAA season. What's kind of the main takeaway you've had from the first month here?
I think in the last week, it's been a crazy week for the MIAA boys soccer scene. So I think it's wide open in all the divisions. I think that, or I shouldn't say all the divisions, but in D1, which, I think has like 10 to 15 real contenders. And I think heading into the year, I thought it would be 1, 2, 3 teams that really stood above the rest. And as I said before we got on the pod, like this week's results were pretty crazy. Like we had the top 5 teams kind of all played each other in a way. So we had a lot of crossover matchups and they all beat each other. So I think that, like I'm doing my rankings for tomorrow, and I know the top team is Oliver Ames. They are now the new number 1. After that, we had like the transitive property where everyone beat everyone, and it's fun. And I think I wasn't expecting that heading into this stretch of meaningful games. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, that there's a lot of real contenders in Division 1, and some sleeper teams that we weren't high on at the beginning of the year that have shot up the rankings too. So. The parity is pretty cool to see, and that's not always the case in high school soccer. So I think that's my biggest takeaway from the first month.
And your high school teachers are proud that you use the transitive property in a.
I don't even know if that's right, but it sounds right.
I hope it's right. We all sound dumb. Pat, how about you on the MIAA girls side of things? What's your, I guess, main theme that you've taken away from this first month?
Yeah, I think so far. Really, especially in D1 and D3, and D1 through D3 are like what gets most of our focus. It's kind of been who we thought was supposed to be good. It is that good. Bishop Fian, I think I had them 4th coming into the year. A couple question marks, new faces and all that, but they've picked up right where they left off. I think they're 9-0-0 undefeated. We knew Wellesley was going to be a world beater. Wellesley is a world beater. Natick right there as well as they always are. A bunch of teams in the Bay State Conference like we expected. I'd say the one kind of surprise in D1 is I think I'm blanking on the conference names, but Arlington, Lexington, Winchester, Belmont, those 4 teams. Yes, the Middlesex Conference. They're all in the top 6, top 7 in the D1 power rankings. And, I think we had Winchester in the mix coming into the year, but Lexington started phenomenal, Belmont and Arlington as well. So those are teams I'm interested to see if they keep it up. Their conference has been strong, so that's going to reflect favorably in the power rankings. Then you look at D3 and everyone was talking about Norwell and Medfield. And then right now it's all about Norwell and Medfield. And, Medfield kind of not beat down, but asserted their dominance over Hopkinton in the Tri-Valley League last night. It was a pretty favorable game for Medfield. And then D2 is where I get a little wide open. I talked a lot about Duxbury coming into the season. King Philip didn't start very well. Masco got all the headlines. Next thing you know, they lose their first game of the season. Now, all of a sudden, they're 9th in the power rankings. Duxbury's number 1, but then you get your Mansfields, who's always right there. Canton's had a great start. Even Longmeadow, a handful of Western Mass teams in these lower divisions have been really good in the early going. So I would say D1, D3 kind of shaking out how we expected. D2 feels a little more wide open.
You guys both had really good pieces on our website, soccerjournal.com, on kind of your takeaways from the first installment of the MIAA power rankings, which we know that, those, how frequently do they update those? They're pretty frequent,
every 3
right?
days. Yeah. Well, it's Friday, Tuesday, Friday.
I mean, it's crazy. So kind of those initial takeaways were kind of the key, because there's just going to be so much that they mass produce those bad boys. So it's like,
oh my God. It's kind of fun. I like following the power.
No,
I don't know
it
about
is.
you, Pat, but it's kind of it has more stakes, like seeing them each week and seeing what the results do to them. Like I enjoy the power. Maybe once a week would be fine.
Yeah. I feel like that too. But like, do you guys in general, I'll ask both of you, starting with you, Matt, do you guys like that system? Do you get the sense that around the MIA that the coaches like the system, or what's the feeling there?
I think it's touch and go. I think people are getting used. I think at first it was a little like, not taken as well. I think it's a little bit better now. I think you see that in the scheduling though, like the opponent rating matters a lot. So I think you see those top teams schedule tough non-conference games to boost that opponent rating. So I think in that aspect, it's pretty good. I think the one problem is the average margin of victory, I think, is what coaches struggle with, because it's like, okay, like you can win a dominant game 1-0, but that's not really going to help your average margin of victory. But then if you were to win that game 4-0, then that helps, and that determines the rankings. Like, I think that's kind of the loophole in the system. And I think in soccer too, like sometimes the average margin doesn't mean as much as what you think. Like you could control a game and only win by a goal. So it's like, does that really show who the best teams are? I think that's a little loophole in the rankings. And like, for example, like, not like Beverly is a team that has destroyed opponents so far. Like they have a plus 35 goal differential. And like, so they're really high in the power rankings. I'm not saying they could be really good and they could beat anyone, but because they're beating like lesser opponents by 6 goals, then that's going to boost their ranking up. Right. Where a team like might play a good opponent, only win by a goal. And that's the only problem with the power rankings.
I will say before you go, Pat, the top 32 in each division get in, right? The top 32 in each power ranking in each division. So regardless
of record, but then you can also get in if you finish above 500.
Oh, okay. So I mean, if you don't get in, you really don't have a gripe. I mean, like that's how I would view these rankings. Like if you weren't good enough to, finish above 500, do you have to be 500 or above 500?
500 or above.
500 or above, or in the top 32. I mean, you really don't have a gripe. So I think that's one thing they probably got right.
I could play devil's advocate. Newton North last year was 4-9-5, got the 31st seed and won the state title.
But they got in, see, right? Yeah.
But if they were 1 spot lower, 2 spots lower, they wouldn't have got in, and then they won the state title. But I know, of course.
But I don't think they probably wouldn't have complained if they didn't get. They were like, "Hey, we won 3 games. That's why we didn't get in." But Pat, what about from your side? Any conversations you've had with coaches? Is this power ranking system a good thing?
Yeah, I would echo pretty much everything Matt said. Whether it's my experience with hockey and baseball too, like the one thing you get is like the little bit of the loss of the nuance with it's just so by the math, which is, it's fair, it's objective. But then you get into you only won 1-0 or 2-1, but you dominated possession, or you're in baseball, your pitcher was lights out and all that. So there is a little bit of, I guess, the lack of nuance, but like I said, the math is the math. It's subjective, and it casts such a wide net where you guys said, like, you have every opportunity to get in. And even if you want to say, Newton North under 500, like going into the year, I think we thought Newton North was going to be a good team. They kind of just underperformed, but then they played to their abilities in the playoffs, got some heroics and all that. So like you do I think for the most part, like it does a good job of squaring away the seedings. Everyone's kind of properly slotted. Maybe you get a Newton North every few years. But otherwise, like, is it like hockey where I think everybody's like, we need a Super 8 again? Or probably like, I think that's kind of a popular, shout in hockey.
I would love Super 8.
But everywhere else seems to be, pretty fair.
Right. Yeah. No, most sports too, they work. Like you see the seeds kind of hold up and most of the time. Last year's like D1 soccer bracket was a little wonky. Like you had a 15 and a 31, I think, in the final four for D1. But most of the time, like the top seeds do kind of hold serve. Yeah. Especially in other sports. Soccer can be a fickle game sometimes, but
sure.
Like Oliver Ames won the last couple state titles. Like they've been in the top 5 of the power rankings for that. And, once in a while they get an outlier, but I think they do kind of predict pretty well who's going to be there at the end.
Let's talk some surprises. And this is a question I want to ask because as a proud Beverly High School alum, they seem to be one of the surprise teams on the boys side of things. You and I were talking about this earlier, Matt. Is Beverly the big surprise on the boys side right now? Or are there some other teams that are catching your eye that maybe you might not have thought about in late August?
Yeah, there's a few. I think actually I was texting with a coach asked me the other day, like, who's your biggest surprise? And I was like, Beverly. And he was like, me too. I don't know if he was just agreeing with me, but
now what do you think we should do for a formation on Tuesday?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I don't know if he actually meant that. I don't even know if he knew Beverly was like an 9-0, but I think maybe he read the content. He knew we were writing about them. I hope he did. But I think maybe I should have been a little bit higher on them because they did have an all-state player in Daniel Silva who, I knew about last year and was coming back. So like he was a great player last year, and maybe I should have put 2 and 2 together there and realized that they might score a lot of goals this year. Right. And they've also been a pretty good program in the NEC the last few years and kind of always knocking on that door. Like they haven't broken through to like the quarterfinals or semifinals, but they'll always win like a tournament game or two and have a good record. So, but they've taken that next leap so far, and like their average margin of victory, we're talking about that, like it's the highest in Division 1.
Wow.
I think they've won every game but one by multiple goals. So they've just been steamrolling opponents, and they have so Silva and this attacking midfielder Connor Sullivan, the two of them have just put up some gaudy numbers so far this year. So they're definitely probably the biggest surprise in Division 1. I'd say them and Bishop Fien are the top 2 biggest surprises. The thing with Beverly, and I wrote about this in the takeaway, it's like they haven't played anyone in the top, I think it was 26 of the D1 power rankings on Friday's edition. So I don't know what's that like. It's tough to really gauge how good they are because they haven't played anyone that's like their best game. I think was North Andover, who's 28 right now in the D1 power rankings. So that's just the one thing. It's like how would they stack up if they're playing like a Bay State Conference schedule or played a non-conference game against like Concord Carlisle or Newton South, a team like that. I think that's the one thing, but it's going to be fun to see. I think they could 100% finish 18-0-0 and then get a high seed and see what happens in the tournament.
Yeah, it's a little bit like we were talking in a previous podcast about Penn State college football. It's like it's great until winning is great until you have to play like a really strong team, and then how do you measure up? Like Penn State plays Oregon last week in college football and loses at home in a whiteout. So I mean, whenever I can work some college football on your podcast, I'll do it.
Yeah, but, it's the same thing.
But Pat, what about on your end? Is there a surprise team that you noticed in the power rankings, or maybe even not in the power rankings, that you've just been following along so far in the season?
Yeah, I would. If I'm just thinking about where I had things coming into the season with the preseason top 10, there's always rounding errors and all this and that. But I thought Brookline, Brookline hasn't started very well. They're 1-4-3. They're 22nd in the D1 power rankings. So that's a little bit of a surprise there. I would say same thing with King Philip and the Hawkmock. Thought they'd be a little stronger. Tough start, and they're kind of water finds its level for everybody. But as far as, I guess exceeding expectations, it kind of goes back to the Middlesex League, like I talked about. Winchester, I think I had like in the hunt coming into the year, and next thing you know, they're 7th in the power ranking, 6-1-1. Lexington was awesome. They started the year with I think like 6 straight shutouts. And Sol Ortiz, DeRosa has been awesome for them. And so it's kind of that Middlesex. I hate to keep harping on it, but I'm really interested to just see where they slot in the rest of the season, and what it looks like for them come the tournament. Because just look at Lexington's schedule. It's just kind of playing the same rotation of conference teams the rest of the way. They got a head-to-head with Winchester on Friday. That'll be a big one. Belmont and Arlington to close the year. So those are the ones I'm keeping an eye on. And then as far as elsewhere, Lincoln Sudbury I think has been really good in the dual county league. I thought Concord Carlisle would kind of not run away there, but be the top dog, excuse me. But so far it's kind of neck and neck between them. And Kicks for Cancer on Saturday. Lincoln Sudbury was the better team for a lot of the first half. Concord Carlisle kind of got to their game. Emmy O'Donnell kind of took over late in the game. So that's one I'm just interested to see there. And then just like we mentioned off the hop, Masco was, hadn't lost the Northeast Conference game in like 4 years or whatever it was. They were undefeated last year. Next thing you know, they have 2 losses already this season, and they're not maybe the world beaters we thought they were. Granted, they have a key injury with Lily Blosser, but still a deep team, and interested to just see if they kind of come out firing in the second half.
Pat, one really cool thing about the girls' side of things, especially, is the fact that so many of the high-level, top-level club players in Massachusetts are also playing high school soccer. I see it in your peak performers every week. Players that I'm familiar with, in your rankings, players that I'm familiar with. It makes the quality of the game so incredible on the girls' side of things. And Matt and I have talked about this on the podcast before, but it's like impossible for you, I would think, because Massachusetts high school, it's not apples to apples for everything. It's, there's Division I, there's Division II, there's Division III, so you can't really, the stats kind of mean different things, and competition is different. But are you noticing just in your research and in your standouts every week, just how high is that level of individual talent right now in Massachusetts right now on the high school scene? Because to me, it seems like it's pretty formidable.
It's really high. I mean, like, just anecdotally putting together the peak performers every week, I feel like I always start out with a big list, and then I try and trim it down just so we're not putting like waterboarding people with names. But I mean, every week I'm coming out with like 20 names, and I'm struggling to whittle it down to max 15. I think I did like 13 or 12 this week. It's really high, especially the offensive talent. And every day there's a 4 or 5 goal outburst from somebody, or someone's just having that level of consistency. And you just look at how like stacked some of these rosters are. Medfield has a ton of commits. Concord Carlisle, Emmy O'Donnell's committed to Duke. So even like outside of the individual talent, just some of the schedules for these teams, like Medfield has a super strong out of conference schedule, even across divisions. Bishop Feehan's in the same boat. Bishop Feehan's played Central Catholic already. They've played Medfield. They've played Masco. They've played Wellesley. The rest of the way, they have King Philip, Franklin. I mean, Cardinal Spellman, it probably isn't in the same stratosphere, but they've been really good in the Catholic Central League too. So it's really fun to just see kind of how stacked these schedules are. And maybe that goes back to Matt's point about the power rankings and trying to really stack your schedule, whether it's D1, D2, D3, D4, whoever's good, and just kind of loading up your schedule and be battle tested.
Yeah, I love that. Like, Feehan playing Masco and Medfield, like having the D2, D3 probably title favorites, putting them on your schedule. It's good for both sides, but like I remember seeing that through September. It's like Feehan's playing them again, like playing another great team, and I think that's I think the power rankings do play a big part of that. And like we saw that on the boys' side too. Like Needham and Oliver Ames played the other day. Then Needham went out and played St. John's Prep in non-league. They're playing Newton South this Saturday in non-league. So it's like, yeah, you need that opponent rating is huge, because you can like lose a couple games, but if you lose to the top team, like for Medfield, losing to Bishop Fee, and like that's going to help their power ranking more so, even if they didn't win the match, you know.
Right.
And you talk about the margin; it's a 2-1 loss, so it looks like a quality loss if there's a quality.
Right, it is right. Yeah.
Before we get to extra time with David, I'm going to put you guys on the spot here, and let's get one bold prediction for the remainder of kind of the regular season. You don't have to jump into the state tournament and who's going to win a championship or whatnot, but give me a bold prediction for the remaining month of the regular season. A team that could end up climbing the power rankings, a team that could end up earning a high seed in the state tournament. Give me something that's on your mind, Matt. What do you got?
Well, like Newton South was the team I was really high on heading into the year, and they had first couple of games were a little rocky, and they've taken off the last few weeks, and they beat Natick yesterday, who was number 5 in the power rankings, beat them 6-1.
Oof.
And Newton South, the first power rankings, I think they were 18. Now they're 12. This win over Natick's going to push them up more. They're playing Needham Saturday too. That's a big swing game for them on how the rest of the season's going to go. But I kind of think they were probably like in the top 4 of state title teams for me in D1 heading into the year. And then it's like they got off to a little slow start. I think they're really finding their groove right now. Like last year, they were the number 1 overall seed in D1. I think they can push up there. I think the DCL hasn't been rated great in the first couple editions, but they schedule those non-league games that I think are going to help. And if they keep winning, I think they might lose 1 or 2 more games the rest of the regular season and kind of enter that tournament as where we thought they would be at the regular season, as a team that doesn't have a lot of losses, doesn't give up a lot of goals, and can really make a deep run in the tournament.
Good stuff. Pat, what do you got?
There are a couple different directions I could go with this. Like, like off the bat, like I think Bishop Fee probably goes undefeated in the regular season. I'll stick my claim to that, I guess. Or you go D3. It's easy to go with the front runner. Medfield probably runs away with the number 1 spot in D3. But I want to shout out Natick here. 5-1-3. It might not be a world beater. They're top 10. I think they're maybe 6-5. That neighborhood in the power rankings. I actually just X out of them, so I should know that. But I was so impressed with the way Natick played against Wellesley in a scoreless draw. Amelia Souza and Nicole Proya were fantastic as a kind of a dual threat up front. And I think, they got a tough schedule the rest of the way. There's Braintree, there's Needham, Newton North, Brookline, we expect to be better, Wellesley. But I think Natick can really come on strong here. Do I say win out? I think I'll be bold. I'll say they'll win out. I'll say they'll beat Wellesley in the regular season finale on October 27th.
There you go. That's good stuff. That's bold. That's pretty bold.
Just looking at it, there's so many boys teams that I just haven't mentioned, like that are so good that it's like I didn't even mention St. John's Prep, who was our number 1 team and lost to Needham, but still looks like probably the team to beat in D1. Then you have Needham, then you have Weymouth, who beat Needham. I do have to give some flowers to Oliver Ames for back atop again, going for a 4th straight title. But there's just so many.
Well, Matt, we got to do our disclaimer. We got to do our disclaimer.
What?
Well, as I said in a previous, there's so many teams out there that we know we don't mention, and we're inevitably going to hear, you forgot this team, you forgot this player. How do you not know about we know there's
especially Norwell was the other team I wanted to shout out.
There you go. I mean, the MIAA is so vast. There's so many teams. I mean, we that's why we have soccerjournal.com too. We'll try to
break it all down there.
Yeah, highlight as much as we can on that platform as well. But great stuff from the two of you guys. I'm energized for a final month of the regular season here, and then obviously the November tournament is going to be fantastic in all levels of soccer. My MIAA, Connecticut, all the states. NEPSAC. It's going to be a great 2 months of soccer, I guess less than 2 months, which is nuts. The fall is going by fast here. But our work today is not done. We're now going to turn our attention to extra time with producer David Yaz, and we'll see what he has in store for us today.
It's the end of regulation, so let's move to extra time.
Welcome back once again to Extra Time, everybody's favorite portion of the show. By the way, Matt L, actually both Matts.
What's up?
I should tell you that I want to give a shout out to, there's a fan of the podcast. Has anybody been to the Feisty Greek eatery?
Oh, that's my wife. No, I don't know who that is.
No, it's not.
No, but I
don't know who that is.
the Feisty Greek is located in, it's either Norwood or Walpole, right on Route 1. And
Norwood.
the owner and proprietor, who I'm going to apologize to him now because his name is escaping me, but I'll find it. Big fan of the pod. His son plays college soccer, and the food there is delicious. They're not a paid sponsor of the Goal podcast, but I'll probably be there. I'm there like once a week.
Nice.
Delicious stuff.
Fan of the pod. I like to
Thank
hear
you, fan
that.
of the pod.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
Seriously. All right. So we are, as we did on yesterday's show, we're going to continue the fine tradition of overrated, underrated. Pat Donnelly is nodding because we just did it on the hockey podcast, so he's not a rookie to this format. 3 topics: overrated or underrated, all having to do with soccer. Of course, first one: managers on the sidelines wearing suits. Why are they wearing suits? Should they be wearing sweatsuits? I'm talking about real suits, the ones that wear the real suits, suit and tie. And Pat Donnelly, you can go first on this one. What do you think? Overrated, underrated, managers wearing suits?
I will go overrated. I think hockey's the only one that still does it. I think that kind of just fits. But in soccer, and you're outside, it might be cold, it might be rainy, it might be hot, it might be sticky. Like you don't need to be in a suit killing yourself over that. Like just and blend in with the team, wear the tracksuit or whatever. Just look the part.
Okay, fair, strong point. Matt Langone.
I would go underrated. Now I would wear the tracksuit because I'm all about that comfort. But there's always been that hint of kind of fashion consciousness in soccer. I mean, if you look at a lot of the Euro coaches, they love like the tight shirts and like the tight button downs, and I kind of like it. It's and I will say too, a soccer coach, like your work is mainly in preparation leading into the match. When the match is going on, you're kind of you're going to do some subs, you're going to do a halftime speech, but you can kind of just stand there and look good. And I kind of like the get yourself a nice suit, stand on the sideline. I'm into it. I like it.
Underrated. Yeah. It's a great look. Yeah. I mean, I'm not wearing like the jumpsuit's a little like too casual.
Yeah.
We're trying to win a match here. We don't need to be looking like we're going to Lifetime Fitness. Like we need some professionalism on the sideline. And I think it's a dapper look, especially in Europe, like the Premier League, like having that look. I think it just builds the importance of the league. And I think high school coaches should start wearing suits in the sideline.
I think you guys should wear suits when you do the podcast.
I know. We should.
I'm all for dressing up.
Should step up our fashion a bit.
To be honest, I don't like when hockey coaches do it though.
Wow, Pat,
I think there's something
that's
about,
fighting words.
I think there's something about the rink that just like I don't know. It doesn't feel like suit attire.
Plus
But I'm not a hockey guy, Pat. I'm not. That's not even a shot. I'm just like I don't get it sometimes. But I think it looks good.
In hockey, it might be
actually that's fine. I don't know what I'm saying.
In hockey, it might be a little incongruous because you've got guys smashing each other's teeth out, and then you got a guy wearing a suit.
No, actually, I like it in hockey.
Okay, fine.
And soccer. Those are the only 2 sports.
All right, Pat Donnelly, you made a strong argument, but you're outvoted.
Underrated.
I agree. Underrated, old school look with the suits. Number 2 topic for extra time: half and half scarves at big soccer matches. So, when there's a big match, sometimes they'll make the scarf, which represents both teams involved in the match, half and half. We'll start with you, Matt Doherty. Is that overrated or underrated?
I don't know. I didn't know they did half and half.
Yeah. So to commemorate like a big match, you'll have one team's colors on one end of the scarf and then split in half the other team's colors in there. Do I have to just
like for a road game?
No, I'm talking like
but like
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the team will like have both sides.
Well, I don't.
Neutral side.
I don't know who's selling the scarves. That's didn't come up in my research.
That makes a difference.
It's the European equivalent of if you get a T-shirt that says Super Bowl whatever, and it's got both teams' helmets on it, right?
I think overrated. I think the scarves should be team oriented, and then make a T-shirt that commemorates the match. So I think the scarf for a specific team is a cool part of the sock. Like we talked about the flag earlier.
I'm not saying scarves. I go specifically for the half and half, but I know what you're saying. Scarves generally are cool, you're saying.
But yeah, so they should be like
single team.
Got it.
Like
we have a New England Soccer Journal scarf. What if we had like hockey on it, or basketball. Like,
every time we go to a Revs game, my son rocks that.
Yeah, we got
stuff.
Revs and
even
Miami.
worse. It would be if New England Soccer Journal had a rival, which I'm not sure
We
it
don't.
does.
We're unrivaled.
Okay,
Yeah.
but if you had
No,
one,
it'd be like Top Drawer Soccer,
Yeah.
and then New England Soccer Journal scarf. Like,
yeah, well, you old journos, it would be like having half Boston Globe, half Boston
That's
Herald on
right.
the same scarf.
yeah.
No, Matt L.
Overrated.
Your thoughts? Okay, overrated.
I'm gonna say underrated because I love the scarf thing in soccer. Like Matt kind of just said, I love it. It's one of those like ambiance, like just things you get at that atmosphere that you don't get. I mean, no one's wearing scarves to Major League Baseball games or NBA games, NFL. So I do love that. And why not? I mean, it's a big commemorative match. I mean, if it's a World Cup final and there's two, they're selling them, it's Italy versus Brazil or whatever. Like, I kind of love that. I mean, that you were there, you took it in, you got the scarf, you got the nice, souvenir. I'm good with it. Underrated.
Okay. And Pat Donnelly.
I go underrated as well. I think it's like for that scenario, that'd be probably a really cool, like commemorative piece, like collector. I probably would have never wear it. Find a nice place to like display it or drape it or something. It's like the same thing as getting like commemorative poster or something. I think it's pretty cool, as a display piece.
Okay. Good arguments all around.
Even Doherty?
Yeah, in fact,
I'm just get like a plaque or
Doherty, you're the winner here. Overrated.
Wow.
I agree. Keep. I mean, soccer is about passion for your team. Your team. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, we don't care about the other team.
Right. Okay. Final. I love how you guys accept my verdict. Well, okay.
It's all that matters.
Finally, the last one is pretty simple. Club mascots and the traditions of said club mascots. And for a little context, according to thescore.com, the three most memorable, favorable, or biggest whatever mascots in soccer are number one, Gunnersaurus, the dinosaur for the Arsenal team. Lovable dinosaur shaped like a pear. Hennies, I believe his name is Hennies from FC Cologne. He's an actual billy goat who's been around since 1950. It can't be the same billy goat, can it? Oh, whatever. When the club was gifted a former circus coat, and they named it after then manager Hennies Weisweller. And then finally, the third one is Kingsley, who is the mascot of Partick Thistle. He kind of looks like a demented sun, like the sun as in the bright thing in the sky. Once described some as the physical embodiment of nightmares. Okay, so Pat Donnelly, in general, should soccer have colorful mascots roaming the sidelines and the stands? Overrated or underrated?
Oh man, I could go both ways. Like I think it's cool, like when you have like the live animal, like the goat, or Ted Lasso as the dog. I know it's not real life, but like I think those types of things are cool. But I was gonna say overrated because I don't typically associate mascots with soccer, like Premier League teams or what have you. Like I associate it with the songs and the traditions and the chants, and like West Ham is the bubbles. Like, was West Ham gonna roll out someone in a bubble suit? Like I don't know. So I would say overrated.
Okay. Matt Langone.
I'm gonna agree, overrated. I'm for the most part anti-mascot. I do love the live animal, like George's like bulldog Uga. Like I love that. I love that bulldog sitting on the sideline, like that famous clip of I think it was like a Florida receiver going for a ball out of bounds, and Uga tried to take a bite out of the floor, like he was like, get out of here. Tried to take leaned in and tried to take a bite of him. I love that, the animal mascot, but like the fabricated, the Philly fanatic and that, like even in other sports, I'm like, get this out of here. Like, I mean, we're not. This isn't good. So in soccer, I don't even associate it. I'm like, you don't need that. There's so much pageantry and atmospheric stuff at a soccer match. Anyways, get those mascots
overrated.
Yeah.
All right.
So I was out. I was gonna say overrated. I'm not really a mascot guy, but I just looked up Gunnersaurus Rex and I love him. So I'm in. I think he's adorable. Like, it's a cool mascot. He looks swaggy with the hat and the jersey. I'm looking at a picture. I haven't stopped looking at it for 5 minutes now. Like, on Gunnersaurus Rex. So in on mascots.
And
underrated.
Matt Doherty, you won this one again.
Underrated.
What a performance.
Man, the thing is, when do you fall in love with the sport of soccer? When you're a kid. What do kids love?
Mascots.
Come on.
It's a good
So
point.
have them there. You don't. I mean, if you're at the match, you don't have to give the mascot a hug. You can. I'm sure these mascots get punched a lot more so than in other sports. It's soccer matches.
Yeah.
At any rate, it was a good fair fight. Good arguments all around. Well done.
I love this guy, Gunnersaurus.
I'm going to see what I can do to get you all, because of your performance today, mini Gunnersaurus dolls.
That would be sick.
I'm sure they
That'd be
exist.
awesome.
I-
Have to buy
Let's see
one.
what we can do. I'll look into it. Back to you guys to wrap things up.
Thank you, David. I would love that. I mean, that might turn me into a mascot guy if you can get me one of those. I'd be down for it. But great stuff on the show today from Matt Doherty and Pat Donnelly. Thanks, guys, for being here. All right.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. I'm Matt Langone. Thanks for listening. New England Soccer Journal's The Goal podcast is produced by David Yaz and is a Siemens Media production.
You've been listening to New England Soccer Journal's The Goal podcast. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to our podcast. Or visit anysoccerjournal.com/podcast. Siemens Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.